I am leaving Arizona. Feels like a strange way to start up a channel, especially given the name. Dry Heat and Sand is actually a reference to living in the Southwest, and even more than that, a joke mashed on the childhood name of our family Wi Fi hotspot in St. George. The name kind of stuck, and I've kept using it for my gaming channel, so I figured it would fit just as well on an outdoors focused channel and have the added benefit of being easy to find by people who are already familiar with my other content. I have a lot of hobbies, and since I've been successful making gaming content, I thought I would try my hand at some adventure related things. Moving across the country to another state I have never been to and helping fix up an old farmhouse with my parents seems like a good adventure. It sets the stage for some other projects I want to do in the next few months. My gaming content will continue to air on my gaming channel for those interested, but any activity involving the outdoors, hardware, cars, is all going to go here. I don't know for sure the format this content will take, but I intend to figure it out by experimenting with some things that I know work, and with some things that I just want to try. The main house is a bit of a mess, encompassing several generations of building materials and design. The outer walls are a mixture of cinder block and concrete that originated sometime between the end of World War II and the 50s, meaning that this house was built before air conditioning was a thing. It has been expanded at least once from the original footprint, plus an additional deck, which we had to remove because it was so saturated with dog piss that the smell could not be scrubbed out. Wood stank, and with the back door open in the heat of summer, the whole house smelled. So before I even arrived, my parents tore the deck out and hauled it off, resulting in the current condition of the structure. Shortly after this, it was decided that the whole inside of the house needs to be replaced. So we're in the process of ripping out every wall, floor, and ceiling surface that isn't load-bearing. You find a lot of interesting things when you start tearing out 3 generations of various slapdash repairs. There are 3 different layers of flooring in what used to be the kitchen. We've currently ripped out 1.5 of them, exposing the original pine wood. Next to the house was this abandoned pool, which couldn't save because the ground around it had slumped in, compromising the structure, and making it impossible to install a new liner. The whole thing would need to be dismantled to fix the slumping issue, but the structure is crap anyway, so we decided to get rid of it and start over. There is a garden and a chicken coop, which we're ignoring for now, since the chickens are long gone and the garden is overgrown with weeds that aren't hurting anything. The shop was a complete disaster zone when my parents bought this house. It was, however, the only livable structure on the property. It has since been thoroughly cleaned out, had air conditioning and running water installed, though no bathroom because permits. Cleaning and updating the interior has been the main priority. My parents sleep in this fifth wheel trailer, which comfortably handles 2 adults. It could sleep more, but not well. I've personally slept on the floor of the cargo bay for more than a month on past adventures, and being generally unwilling to repeat the experience, we decided to prioritize converting one of the side bays into a bedroom and office. This was the first real project, and it was quite the excursion overall, though much of the initial cleaning and improvement was done before I arrived. The shop is divided into 3 rooms: a large central repair bay with a rolling door, and attic storage makes up the largest space. This is supported by 2 side bays, accessible via French-style doors. I spent the first few weeks sleeping in the main garage area while the side bay was finished. The side bay was pretty dirty to begin with. The first major step here was to prep for paint, which at this point involved removing the baseboards and vacuuming out what debris remained. One issue you can encounter when fixing up old shops are the bugs. In the East Coast, there are a lot more of them than in the West. So if a building is not built with insect resistance in mind, it often suffers from infestation. This structure was designed to be a shop, so the foundation isn't sealed and all kinds of things can slip in under the framing, through the gaps in the metal siding, and in other places as well. The end result is a ton of small crawlers, ants, beetles, and gnats. All these prey insects attract different kinds of spiders, which in turn attract mud daubers. These large but fragile black wasps are not aggressive and build small couples nests where they breed in little groups. They're considered a beneficial insect because they eat pests, don't sting, and tend not to colonize aggressively. Renovating a room is a bit of a frustrating endeavor here because at the start, no matter how much you clean or spray, the spiders keep coming back the next morning. So we wound up carrying a shop vac around with us to suck up the spiders. Interior paint isn't too much trouble, but requires a lot of time and preparation. It also requires some forward thinking, since the uses of a room inform its color selection. This side bay is my room for now, but it won't always be that way. Once the main house is complete, I'll set up a permanent living space there. So the paint scheme I selected for the side bay should be more industrial, since it will eventually become a working space where I keep my computers and tools. I plan to use it as a VR space, so the colors need to be bright, diffuse, and offer some level of contrast for the VR headset to track. After some waffling around, we settled on a 3-tone paint scheme with a bright trim color. There's 1 exterior window and 2 interior light fixtures. My plan was to scale the color reflectivity down with elevation, so the ceiling color will be a bright white, the upper wall panel slightly gray, the lower wall panels a more intense gray-blue, and the floor a slate industrial gray. To complement these colors and provide contrast, we selected a vibrant blue, which will go on the various trim pieces and on the entrance doors. All paints were ordered with a matte finish. If you like the way this looks, you can find the color names and paint codes linked in the video description below. The flooring went in after the second coats were finished. We used slate gray textured tiles from rubberflooring.com, which was a bit of a process to actually receive since semi-trucks can't deliver to our street. It took an extra week to get things worked out with their dispatching service so that we could meet the driver and transfer our load from his truck to our pickup. Rubber flooring like this is an excellent choice for garage spaces. Concrete, no matter how well it's cleaned, will continue to slough dust from itself and attract dust from other sources. Floor coatings can help, but they're complicated to apply and difficult to repair when damaged. Rubber floor tiles like these don't need any prep work besides a vacuum cleaner, and aren't dependent on any other adhesives or anchoring screws. The tiles are flexible enough to rest on uneven flooring, strong enough to withstand a floor jack, and act as a hard dust barrier against the concrete below. It took me most of one workday to apply all the tiles, and part of the next for finish work to be completed, mostly consisting of painting and nailing the baseboards down. The baseboards rest against the flooring to hold it in place, and are complemented by a threshold along the 2 doors, which we glued down. With this process complete, it was finally time to move my computer, bed, and other belongings out of the main shop space, where they had been blocking some other projects we wanted to get moving. Altogether, this entire process took about a week, though this was being constantly interrupted by other priorities and projects, which I've already discussed, and some others which we didn't get the chance to film. Altogether, this video covers about 3 weeks of material, and isn't quite at the quality level I want to achieve. But it was also made under less than ideal conditions. Over the next few months, I hope to improve on my workflows and on my storytelling while we get the farmhouse figured out. That's all I have for now. Catch you all later.